everybody, Gina DeLuca here. Okay, today I'm going to be trying something a little different. I'm going to be doing a spiral pour, but I am using a split cup that I got from the paint pour company. There is a link in the description box for a coupon to get yourself. They have a lot of cool tools over there. But I'm going to be using this cup here, and it's going to be a straight pour. And I'm going to be using the DecoArt Americana Decor Metallics in Garnet and in Sapphire Blue. The blue has been open for a while. We'll see what happens, if it will react. Sometimes it doesn't. The Garnet should be okay, I think. And the white is Liquitex Basics in Titanium White. These paints have been mixed 1 part paint to 2 parts Floetrol. That mixture is then thinned. Today I used just water. A lot of times I use a mixture of Floetrol and water, and that would be 10% Floetrol, 90% water. I just need to make up a new batch and I'm running low on Floetrol. Wanted to make sure I had enough for my painting. So I used just plain water, but I do find that using the Floetrol mix, especially if you're a beginner, it will help you to kind of keep from over thinning, because sometimes just 2 more drops of water might be too much. And for some reason, the Floetrol seems to help with that. Anywho, so they are mixed until I get the consistency that I am looking for, which is, this is about a 2 on my consistency scale. It is making a mound, but it disappears pretty quickly, and it's making a nice thin, even stream off of my stick. It's not getting thick and then thin. That is how you know you have mixed it correctly. It needs to be an even stream, or you have not fully incorporated. Before we get started, have you seen the Fluid Art Inspiration cards? If you have, you can fast forward about a minute, but if you have not, what we have are 52 cards. There are 42 technique cards. Each technique card has an associated video here on YouTube that gives you all of the information that you need, the exact paint brand, color, consistency, recipe, of course the technique, all of the things that I can't fit onto a card. This is the picture of the painting in that video. This here box contains a tip for this technique. Here at the bottom you have the color palette that was used in this painting, and then these 2 boxes can be used together as the basis of a 2-color palette, or you can build off of those colors. And there are 8 bonus color palette cards. Each one has 5 color palettes. You can use all of the colors or just some of the colors. Mix and match the bonus color palette cards with the technique cards, and you have more combinations than you could ever paint in a lifetime. These are available at my website, ginadeluca.net, and also at amazon.com. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is lay down a bit of a base coat. Is that a cat hair? It sure is. Get rid of that before it causes a problem. So I'm going to lay down this base coat. This is going to help my paints slide around more easily. And I find I get the best results when I use a base coat. Something has to stick to the canvas first. And if it is not your base coat, it's going to be your poured paint. And if you don't put down a base coat, you know, the paint is just going to roll over itself, and then sometimes you just wind up losing some of the coolest stuff. So, as I always like to say, get out your bingo card. I like to troubleshoot before there's trouble. With these round canvases, the edges are puckered, so This technique right here for covering the sides works really well for flat edge canvases, but when it's puckered, you are better off using your finger. You will get better coverage that way. And you do want to make sure that you put your base coat on your sides, because if the sides are dry or not evenly coated, if you have just some dry spots, the paint will not slip over the edge as easily right there. And then it kind of ruins the flow over the side, and then you might wind up with a cell that is misshapen because only half of it flowed over. I just like to give it the best chance possible. So I like to take a couple of extra minutes and put in some care in this part so that I don't regret it later. Okay, my base coat is down, and I'm going to put some paint in a cup. I'm going to put a bit of the white. I'm going to use these outer edges. I want these to have as much separation as possible. I'm going to try really hard to do equal amounts. Okay, and this is a thing you might want to practice. In your sink, pour from up high and let it sink. It's a little tricky. Little trickier in these little skinny cups, but with some practice, you should be able to swing it. Again, I was a bartender. I had practice. And then I'm going to put some more of the white on top there. Okay. So I'm going to aim for the center. I'm going to pour quickly, spin slowly to accentuate the spiral as much as possible in a clockwise motion. Going to get closer to the canvas as I get towards the end of the cup. That will give me better control. And I'm going to spin slower as it comes out of the cup slower. I don't want this to look like a ring pour. I want this to continue to have a spiral effect. And if I pour too quickly, or if I spin too quickly, it will just look like a ring pour. The main focus is going to be the center. That is going to get stretched the most. So that is where I am trying to concentrate the hardest. Okay, well, I gave a little flick at the end there. Let me see if I can just do something with that. Okay. All right, well, I'm going to give this a quick torch, pop some bubbles. Okay, so what am I seeing here? Remember I said that the garnet I thought would be good, and that the blue was kind of old. The garnet is taking over the blue because the blue didn't have the same cell making power because it was an older jar. That's okay. This can still look cool. Once I stretch it out, we're going to see what happens. I will definitely try this again with different colors and fresher jars. But I do see some cool lacing going on there. Let me make sure that my center is in the center. That is most what I'm concerned about here, that my center, my focal point, is as much in the center as I can get it. And the rest of it will fall into place. Okay. All right, I'm going to give this a spin. And see what happens. You don't have to spin fast. It will get to its destination. Especially if you've laid down a base coat. Ooh. If you've laid down a base coat, your canvas is covered. The paint that is sitting on top is just going to stretch over top of the covered canvas. Now, if I want this to go this way a little more than this way, I can shimmy the canvas just a little bit in that direction, and it will pull more on that side. Kind of like, you know, when you're on the merry-go-round at the park, if you are sitting in the center, you don't get pulled in any particular direction, but if you're sitting on the edge, you are certainly getting pulled in a direction. All right, so my canvas is covered. Now this is where I decide about composition. How much more do I want to spin off? More. That's the answer. And be sure to check your sides. Sometimes those puckers don't get covered. So just give them a little dab. A little dab will do ya. Okay, I do see a bit of bubble action going here, but I have a white base coat. And what that means is if I pop these bubbles now, they might pull up some white paint with it. And I'll have little tiny white pin cells, pinhead size cells. So I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm using Floetrol. These bubbles that are still in here are not going to be noticeable. If I were using a different kind of pouring medium, something that has a gloss to it, like Liquitex or Golden, those bubbles can become very noticeable if they are not handled. It is one of the several reasons that I really like Floetrol. It just eliminates a thing to worry about for me, which I appreciate. I feel like okay, I need a bit more, just a bit more off of that side. And I want to come this way just a little bit. Okay, that's it. I'm leaving it alone. I'm gonna let this sit. I'm gonna take it off the spinner because it's level to the table, not the spinner. Gonna let this sit, see what it does, if it does anything. I do see a little bit of blue popping up in there, so we'll see what happens. And I'll bring you in for a close-up. Back in a few. Okay, so here it is. I did not get as much action from the blue as I would have liked, but I'm not very surprised. I predicted that could possibly happen, and that's what happened. However, because the center has still enough white and blue and the red, there's a lot of contrast going on in there. Really cool thing. Don't mind my manicure here. I played some gigs and knocked some of my nail polish off. But how that has that Fibonacci sequence going on there, like a nautilus. You know, this is a little bigger, that getting smaller, getting smaller, getting smaller. The spacing, that's very cool to me. But there's a lot of depth in here and these gradations of colors. I am not mad at this. It's not exactly what I was hoping for, but I do think it is very pretty. Yeah. So there it is. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. Please do like, share, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. Check out the description box below for links to my PayPal tip jar if you feel so inclined. My website, GinaDeLuca.net, where you can find my art and music and fluid art inspiration cards for sale. My affiliate links, where you can get your hands on some of this DecoArt paint. Get some very cool effects with that. And I also have some other affiliate links, Paint Pour Store being one of them. Paint Pour Store. It's where I got that cup. Check it out. And yeah, so there's coupon codes and affiliate links, and if you use those codes and links, I receive a commission at no additional cost to you. Great way to help sister out without costing you anything. And also, you will find the link to our Facebook group, Go Make Some Art. Join us there. Post your masterpieces, ask your questions, get some inspiration. A good time is had by most. And that is going to be it for me for today. I hope y'all have a beautiful day. Now go make some art.